Hey everyone, my name is Shante and welcome to Books with Shante. Today we are going to talk about all of the books I read in the month of January, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I started off the month with The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. And this book is basically about a girl who kind of has a chance encounter with a stranger after going on dates. And it's a dual POV, and it kind of goes in the past and the present. People from the past kind of reappear in the present. And there's just a lot of chance encounters. It was good. It wasn't super thriller for me. My favorite was when they were talking about the past. That was more interesting to me than like the present day. And I don't know if it was meant to be like that on purpose, but I wasn't like the present day to me just didn't give thriller. It made me laugh a lot of parts, but the past and like finding out about the characters that then reappear in the present was more interesting to me. I listened to this on audio as well as read it on my Kindle. And the audio, the narration to me just was not it. Like, it was distracting because there were points where I'm like, okay, this character would never sound like this. So it just wasn't convincing. And again, it was just very distracting to me. But it was a good read. It was light. It was easy. Again, I listened to it on audio as well. So there were points where I'm like, okay, let me kind of get on with it. But at the end, it was a twist I didn't see coming. I like to play detective when I'm reading books like this. And a few people were suspicious, and I thought it was going to kind of turn out a little differently. But at the end, I didn't guess it. So I guess it did its part in that aspect. But yeah, so I ended up giving this a 3.5 just because the narration did not do it for me. And it just wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, 3.5 for this. The next book I read was His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Phenomenal book. It still makes me smile. I love it. I originally wanted to read it in preparation to watch the series. The book was a million times better. There were details that were different. The ending was still the same, but the details, there were some changes. I think I got through 2 episodes of the show and then I had to stop because I just wanted to enjoy it for what it was based on the book because it was so enjoyable, and I just wanted that to be my entire experience of His and Hers. But this is following a reporter and a detective. The reporter is reporting on a murder, the detective is working that murder, and then there are other murders that kind of happen throughout, and then we realize, there's a connection between the reporter and the detective, and so the story kind of unfolds from there. But it's super good. I was suspecting everybody. There was a point during the book that I kind of figured who it might be at the end. But again, even once I figured that out, I was still like, oh, well, maybe it's not that person. Maybe it's somebody else, because it was just so unpredictable. Like, everybody was suspect. It was so well written. So easy 5 stars across the board for sure. The next book I read was My Husband Next Door by K.L. Slater. And I think I read this because it was suggested in Kindle Unlimited. And since I had been reading thrillers, I was kind of on like this thriller high that I just wanted all the thrillers. So I picked it up, and the name sounded interesting and the storyline sounded interesting. But then once I got into the book, I'm like, okay, like, the title don't really have nothing to do with nothing, felt misleading. So this, I don't even know how to really describe it because there were a bunch of storylines in the book that I feel like could have their own book. So basically, it's this woman who lives, I believe it takes place in England. So her and her husband, they're married, and he's about 10 years younger, but they're married, but they don't live together. They live next door to each other. So I thought that was going to be like the plot. I thought it was going to be just really based on that. But then there were so many other points, like the ending, it didn't even really have to do with them. Like, they were involved, but the major part of the story just didn't even really have to do with that. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. 2 people living separately, married, whatever. But so there's an older lady who moves in across the street, and she's essentially one of them nosy neighbors. She ends up staying with them for a while. It's like a whole lot of going on in the book. It kept me invested just because I wanted to find out like what was going to happen at the end, like where were we headed with this story. So it was cool. I listened to this on audio as well. I don't remember if I said, but the other two books I listened to on audio as well. This one, the audio didn't help or hurt it, honestly, but it was just a lot going on. And again, I feel like each storyline in the book could have had their own book. So to me, it kind of was like all over the place. So I ended up giving it a 2 just because it kept my interest, because I wanted to know how it ended, but it wasn't interesting and I was kind of ready for it to be over. The next book I read was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This was my first S.A. Cosby book and it was an outstanding book. I loved it. I feel like, and this book still sits with me. I think I read this like the second week of January, but I still think back to this book because I feel like I gave it an unfair rating originally. So the story is about, it's 2 dads, their sons were married to each other. The sons end up being unalived. You'll figure out how that happens right from the beginning. So then the 2 dads basically team up to go after and find out who did it and get their revenge basically. So it was really good. It takes place in Virginia, so it has like that southern element to it, you know, country guys, and the dads, they didn't agree with their son's lifestyle, so that caused tension between them and their sons. The 2 dads I don't think they had met prior to the funeral. I don't think so, but it's a really good story. I love the dynamic between the 2 dads, a really like heartfelt story, but when the action starts up, it's action packed and it just keeps you hooked. Like you gotta find out what happens at the end. And I feel like I gave it an unfair rating because I had just come off of reading like 3 thriller books. So I was expecting something to like hit right away. It's an extremely action-packed book, but it was about 25% of the way into the book that I actually got hooked. And I was like, okay, now I'm invested and now I like gotta eat this up. So for that, I gave it a 4 rating, but I'm leaning like towards 4.5. If I hadn't just come off of a bunch of thriller books where everything was just super fast-packed from page 1, then I would have probably given this a 5. It's a really, really good book, and I'm really excited to read more of his books. This one I didn't read on audio because, again, it was more of like an emotional type book. I wanted to read it for myself after having a couple of bad experiences with audio in the previous books. I didn't want audio to alter or change the way I'm reading the book. I'm not sure what the audio is for this book. I didn't listen to a sample or anything. I just wanted my own feelings, my own emotions, my own way of reading it and how I feel like they sound. So this was a great book. And again, I'm really excited to read some more of his books. I have a few in my list to read. So this book I rated a 4. So the next book I read was Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. And I read this because I saw a lot of people talking about it. Again, I had just come off a bunch of like thriller, more emotional books, and I really wanted something lighter but still entertaining, get me thinking, and things of that nature. So this book is about basically 2 girls. One of them is a highly successful author. The other is trying to get there, and there's some jealousy there. The highly successful author ends up passing away, so we get into that. And then essentially the non-successful author in a way kind of attempts to steal her life, and then we see all of that unfold. It was really good. I'm not even sure honestly what kept me so intrigued, but I couldn't put it down. I like the style of the book. It was conversational. It felt like I was listening to a podcast or talking to a friend. Like it was very light, it was very casual, and I liked that. And I forgot to mention in the last book, Razorblade Tears, another thing I really liked about that is I could visualize what was going on in the book. He did an amazing job at like explaining settings and feelings and things like that. I felt like I was in the story. And that was kind of the same with this one. It was conversational, it was relaxed, and I felt like I was a part of the story. And that is something I really like in books. I want to be able to see, I want to be able to feel, I want to immerse myself in the pages. So this one was really good. It did touch on some things, you know, obviously, like you get the racism aspect and just seeing things that we see in our everyday life, but kind of, you know, people don't really speak on certain things, but it's like underlying things, biases, or things of that nature. So that was really interesting to read on the page. It was kind of just like out there. But yeah, I liked it. I gave this 5 stars again because it was an easy read and I felt like I was talking to a friend. So I gave this one 5 stars. The next book I read is Her Name is Night by Yasmin Ango. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this was 5 stars across the board. This was an amazing book. Like, I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I just hope it's as good as this book. I ate this up. I also listened to this on audio as well. So this was about a female assassin who is Nigerian. She comes from a prominent family in Nigeria. Their village ends up being completely destroyed, and she finds herself in, you know, not slavery, I don't want to call it that, but she is abused by the people who destroyed her family's village. She's sold off. She ultimately escapes. When she escapes, a woman finds her, and then she's kind of brought up with this family. They end up, or she ends up in England, and then they end up in the US. So again, she's a female assassin. The family, they have their own kind of like group of assassins, if you want to call it that. Her past creeps back up on her, and so we kind of follow that. But I also like the subtle love element in this book. It's not heavy on the romance, but it's interesting seeing like this tough, deadly female assassin who's kind of soft for a guy who originally was supposed to be her mark. So we get a little story in that as well. But absolutely well written. Again, I could visualize it. I felt like I was watching a movie the whole time I was reading it and listening to it. This is my kind of book for sure, my kind of movie, TV show, or whatever. So I have nothing negative to say about it. And the narration was amazing. It was one lady who was narrating like all the parts. She had the like African dialect down, the British, the American, like she was amazing. So the narration in this story actually heightened my interest, and it added to the reading experience for me. So highly recommend this book. 5 stars across the board. And then the last book I read in January is As Long as You're Mine by Nikisha Afia. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. This book was also a little bit different than I thought it was going to be. So basically we're following, it's 2 different time periods again. I had a lot of that this month. The book, Her Name is Night, that was a similar thing. It went to like before and after, and it flowed beautifully in that book. But I can't say enough good things about that book. But moving on to As Long as You're Mine, it takes place in the 30s and the 50s. So in the 30s, we're learning about a woman who is a Black woman in Hollywood, but she is white passing. She is having an affair with a married man, a white man, and he is a big movie star. The 50s timeline is about her daughter. So I don't want to give too much away about how that came about. And the child is basically trying to learn more about her mother because she was not raised by her. She didn't even know she was Black. So I thought it was going to be a lot different than it was. And again, the storyline sounded really good, but it was just so slow. It was predictable. It was dragging on. And if a book is like that, I'm like, okay, at the very least, the ending needs to wow me, or it needs to be like, okay, it was slow, but it was worth it at the end. This didn't do that for me. It was not worth it. I finished it, but I could have done without it. So yeah, it was just not what I thought it would be. So I ended up giving this a 2-star. All right, guys, that is it for my January reads. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more bookish chats. I would love to hear what you're reading, any books that you recommend, or if you've read any of the books I mentioned in this video. So please leave a comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.